So this is my Kenmore washing machine, and I was having a problem, which is, I guess is a pretty common problem, where it shakes around violently during the spin cycle. And so I found out that the suspension rods were most likely the problem, which they were because I replaced them, and it fixed it. This is the old one, and there's videos out there showing how to replace the suspension rods, which I kind of followed, but it ended up being a little trickier than I thought because there's one on each, basically in 4 spots around the tub, and they sit in like a socket, and then there's a little ball on here that hooks onto the suspension rod that the suspension rod hooks into, that sits down into the socket. And the issue I had was, once you open this lid, even though it's open, there's still, it's pretty tight to get around. You're supposed to be able to reach down in there and grab that suspension rod and pull it up through the hole, put this little ball on there, and then set it back down. The main issues I had was, it was hard to get my arm in there, for one thing, but when I could, I ended up having to try and use a piece of sandpaper to use for extra grip to be able to pull this up enough so I could get this ball on there and drop it down into the socket. A couple of the other spots were so tight that I ended up using a zip tie, basically pinched it in half and stuck it down through the hole and hooked it onto this, and then I was able to pull it up and put the ball on there and then drop it down into the socket. I had to kind of wiggle the zip tie off or whatever, but it worked really well. I didn't have any problem pulling up as much as I wanted. It worked really well. You could probably use, I don't know, even the old suspension rod, maybe push it down in there and hook it and pull up the new one, or whatever, a piece of wire, a bent coat hanger, whatever you could use. I just happened to have the zip tie handy, and I used it, and it worked out really well. So hopefully maybe this will help somebody with, if they're struggling with it. I know I watched a couple of videos, and especially the video from one of the manufacturers, and I think this is a Kenmore, but the Maytags, I think the Whirlpool, all of them are very similar in style, and these suspension rods seem like a standard rod for all of them. But the other video made it look so easy, and maybe it's just me, but I had issues with getting it, and I was able to come up with this solution. So hopefully maybe it'll help somebody, and it'll make your repair go easier.